America's not starting business anymore. It's a birth and death rate. We need about 500,000 new businesses to start while 400,000 die. 4 years ago, those lines crossed. So now we're in very dangerous waters. But those full-time unemployment jobs will never come back until free enterprise and the spirit of entrepreneurship kicks back in again.
Yeah, all right. You know, the CEO of Gallup polling with those remarks last week, and I think he said something over the weekend that I may be gone one day because of what I said. I hope that's not the case, but you never know. Joining us now, once again, is Ed Butowsky, renowned wealth manager and managing partner of Chapwood Capital Investment Management. Hey, Ed.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Always good to see you. All right, so you know it's being called the big lie, and that's exactly what it is it not? This 5 point, what is it, ticked up to 5.7 with all the ingredients that go into making that number and all the ingredients that are left out. It is a big lie.
Well, there's no question. In fact, I think there should be a lot more investigation into these government numbers. The more people analyze them and understand where they come from, they'll realize what a farce they really are. I mean, we already have dissected the unemployment rate and the participation rate. But what's getting lost in this conversation, Steve, is how many full-time jobs we need to make and why. Nobody throughout this discussion, ever since he made that comment, has talked about that. So let's do it right now. The average full-time job is $12,500 into the federal government. And that's on average what you're going to get from a full-time job. We are short every year about $500 to $600 billion in terms of our deficit. So we need to create about 500,000 new full-time jobs a month just to get us to the point where we can pay our bills every year. And so when people are elated with 250,000 new jobs, that's only halfway there. If this was a test, Steve, that you'd get a 50. And people are elated about it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you look back at other recoveries, and you know, every time I have a Stephen Moore or someone on like that, they talk about this. This recovery is the worst recovery in history, and the 2000 number, or even 230, even 280, is no, as you say, is nowhere near what's needed to really get people back to work.
Yeah, and that 230 or 250, the majority of those jobs are part-time. So look, this isn't a political thing. This isn't a right or a left. This is an American thing. We need money to pay our bills because we're spending more money than we ever have in this country. We brought in over $3 trillion of tax revenue last year, and we're still falling behind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
No, I was going to say, absolutely. But here's a president, and I don't want to talk about it. Let's just say what it is. I mean, the man in charge of policy, who happens to be Barack Obama, who happens to be a Democrat, I mean, thinks that this is great. And the media thinks that this is great. And the economists that you see on TV think that this is great. And they're doubling down and they're tripling down and they want more of the same. So it's going to take a new administration with new policies to get us out of this.
Right. And education for the public. I mean, there's an old line, when riding a dead horse, dismount. Well, the policies we have today, Steve, just aren't getting us there. And because of that, it's actually putting, not just our future generations at risk, but it truly is putting us at risk today, because what we have to do then is print money that devalues our dollar. Even though our dollar might be rising against the European currency today, the places that we import a lot of our goods from, our dollar continues to decline. That's why a lot of things cost more money. So when you go out to a Starbucks and the costs are going higher, it's not only because of insurance and other reasons, other issues in terms of running a business. It also is because the coffee costs more because our dollar is worth less, and that comes because we print money because we spend too much.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, 100% right. Let me ask you about where you think, we have Ukraine heating up again, we have Greece. It seems like every time, and oil, which is sort of recovered. So I don't know. I mean, every time it seems there's some good news, here comes the bad news again. How much does the outside world, or the world outside of the U.S., how big a problem do you see that being on our economy here in the near future?
Well, it's a great question, because 50% of the growth in our S&P 500 companies come from outside our borders. So we need to watch what's going on out there. Now, Greece, I'm not concerned whatsoever about Greece. It's so small, it's somewhat insignificant, but it does pull down the European economy, which is what I am concerned about. Ukraine, not too concerned about that. I mean, obviously, my biggest concern is what's going on in the Middle East and the potential that we're probably going to see at some point Israel strike because they're going to have to. And that's going to have a ripple effect throughout the oil markets and throughout the world economy.
In what way? In what way would that affect the oil markets?
Well, when you have a war in the Middle East, and that's probably what we're going to see here sometime soon, there's going to be a disruption and probably see oil prices go higher as a result of that. But my biggest concern is and continues to be Europe. I think we're going to see a deleveraging of the banks, where they're going to go from a 30-to-1 to 10-to-1 in terms of the ratio of assets to debt. And when that happens, we got problems.
All right, Ed, always great to talk to you, sir. I thank you very, very much.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
Ed Butowsky, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. No, you know, it's very, very troubling. And of course, you know, we're going to have more later on with the closing bell report. But it's very, very troubling when you look at the Middle East and you understand the president today with Angela Merkel talking about the situation with Iran in a press conference. The president was asked about it basically, and talking about how, you know, everybody except Benjamin Netanyahu thinks sanctions could work and wants sanctions to work and blah blah blah. And you know, and Netanyahu, and he gets it, and Obama doesn't want to get it. And Iran will be permitted under Obama to, you know, if they sign an agreement, Israel has no choice but to take military action. Let's put it that way. No choice but to act on their own, because when push comes to shove, the security of the state of Israel is in the hands of the state of Israel, not in the hands of Barack Obama, thank goodness. And if you allow Iran to pursue nuclear weapons, get that weapon, put it on those missiles. Not only will they be able to, annihilate Israel, but they're coming for the U.S. next. They're coming for Western Europe and then the U.S. Don't forget who the Ayatollahs of Iran are, or I'm sorry, as Barack Obama calls them, the what does he call them? The Great Islamic Republic of Iran, Great or something. Anyway, their whole philosophy, their whole religious belief, is that missing imam. The 12th imam, I think it is. Armageddon will bring them the imam back, and that's salvation to Muslims, according to the Ayatollahs of Iran. So mutually assured destruction, that threat that we had with the Cold War and the Soviets, that doesn't apply here. Because the goal of the Ayatollahs, religiously speaking, is chaos and Armageddon and death. But Obama has no problem trusting those people. I don't get it. We'll be back with your calls right after the break. Don't go away.